Saints Broncos recap, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday night football. My God, that was arguably the worst game in the last 10 years. I mean, as far as what it was, what we watched, the product, the game, the players, everything that you can factor in, that's probably the worst game, I would say, as a fan. There's been worse results, like the NFC title game and playoff games and whatever, but this was just an abomination to football. It really was. And unfortunately, Thursday, it was such a nice day. And before we get into the game, I do kind of want to get into just what was going on in the city. I mean, before the game, all right, I go to Fives, the Fives bar down in Jackson Square. Okay, a beautiful bar. Sat there, had the sun shining, had the Jackson Square outside, the sounds of the city, enjoyed a beer, an espresso martini, got myself right, okay? Got myself ready to roll. Everyone in there was very excited, very positive. And then I started walking, and we walked all the way down to the Superdome. Little did I know, I was actually with Virgil on the River Styx in Dante's Inferno, crossing into hell and making my way down into the layers. And I'm not totally sure what that hombre without the trousers is doing down there. But I descended, and I kept descending and descending and descending and descending. I descended every layer of hell, even the deepest, darkest layers of hell, until I arrived at the worst, the center of it all. The Superdome, where sadness lives. A factory of sadness, if you will. Outside of it was unsuspecting 60,000 people, bloody married up out of their mind. Multiple Crown and sodas. None of these people expected to see what we saw for 3 hours on Thursday Night Football. Okay? A complete disaster in every single way. Every single way. It's not good enough, ladies and gentlemen. Dennis Allen's got to go. Is it Dennis Allen's fault exclusively? No. Probably not. But when something spirals like this, when something spirals at this level, there's got to be a change. Bottom line. And it wasn't a lack of effort from the fans. Aaron sent me this on my Twitter. An absolute beauty of a dome dog. Not a condiment in sight. Look at that. I mean, that's 10 out of 10. That's a beautiful dome dog. It inspired me. It inspired me to go get 2 raw glizzies. Okay? I did what I had to do. Admittedly, the glizzy on the left leaves a lot to be desired. That is a horrific looking dog. I'll tell you that. It wasn't easy. I mean, you can just tell on the left, on the right is what we thought is the Saints on the first 2 games. On the left is the Saints the last 5 games. All right. Where do we even begin? Let's take a look at the stats. I mean, these stats are almost kind of fugazi because the Broncos could have had 600 yards of offense if they wanted to. They probably had, if I had to guess, they probably had 270, 275 in the first half and then just kind of coasted the second half and ended up with around 400. 6.4 yards of play, again, fugazi. That could have easily been 7+ if they wanted to. Yards per rush, 6.4, again, fugazi. That could have been 7, but still 6.4 is not good. Javonte Williams, I'm pretty sure he had the most amount of touches in the NFL without a touchdown. Why do I know that? Because I have him on my fantasy team, and my fantasy team is horrible. Well, wasn't horrible this week. Javonte Williams, 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. If they wanted to, Javonte Williams could have had 20 carries for 140 yards and 4 touchdowns. Bo Nix, 10 carries for 75 yards. By the way, if you listened to my gambling preview video that was released before the game, you would have hit like 5 bets. We were on everything. The only thing we didn't hit was Bub Means over. And you could have hit that if you got it at Bet365. We talked about that on the video. We talked about Bo Nix rushing. We talked about Javonte Williams rushing. We talked about Alvin Kamara under rushing attempts and yards. We talked about, it was just all you can eat. We had this game exactly figured out, except for the final score. In no world did I see it going this bad, because I don't think anyone expects like rock bottom, right? You never see rock bottom coming, ever. Well, we're here. We are at rock bottom. This was rock bottom. To let the Denver Broncos come into the Superdome, aka the Factory of Sadness, on Drew Brees Hall of Fame night, Sean Payton in the building, Pete Carmichael in the building, pageantry, celebration, and on Thursday Night Football, for the Denver Broncos to have 7 yards per play with Bo Nix, who is terrible. Rock bottom. On top of that, Paulson Adebo's out for the year. Marshawn Lattimore got hurt. It's just bad. It's just all around bad. Again, Jordan Howden led the team in tackles. Wow. Demario Davis had 7 tackles. Then you have Alontae Taylor, Paulson Adebo, Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore. Shocking. Bo Nix was terrible. Some of the throws he made were horrific, especially in the first half. He was making some throws that were so bad, they were almost impressive. The pass that was in between the 2 wide open receivers, to not complete that pass is the level of difficulty is 100. All right. It was crazy to watch Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime do what they did. Because when Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, and Javonte Williams, when they got a handoff, it was 6-7 yards. No lie, it was 4 or 5 yards before anyone even thought about touching them. Even thought about it. Then you go to our team, the New Orleans Saints, where Alvin Kamara has 7 carries for 10 yards and averaged 1.4 yards a carry. Alvin Kamara averaged a little over 1 more yard a carry than I did. And I had 2 Dome Dogs with no condiments on them, an espresso martini, multiple Crown and sodas, a Bloody Mary. That should not be the case, okay? Spencer Rattler, until Kendra Miller kind of got it going at the end of the game when nobody was playing for Denver. Until that, Spencer Rattler was our leading rusher. That is insane. Insane. Now let's take a look at some of the goofs and gaffes from the game during the game. This is Richard Sherman talking about the Saints at halftime. Apparently he popped off, and let's listen to it.
Tony, I'm confused. I'm vexed. I don't get it. They don't want to tackle. They don't want to make plays. These are good players. Tyrann Mathieu is a good player. Why the easiest interception of his life to send him to number 36 and he drops it? I see guys not having effort to get to the ball carrier, to make tackles. I don't understand this. It seems like they want to get their coach fired. That's the effort they're playing with. Then Dennis Allen, you call a timeout
to take a knee,
so we can watch your quarterback take a knee.
Yeah, we got stuff to do.
Do you want to torture these?
What is going on?
So the effort thing is being talked about a lot. Like, the team has quit on Dennis Allen. The team has quit. The defense doesn't want to play for him. If that is the case, they need to go. It is week 6, week 7 we've been talking about effort and quitting and whatever. If you are willing to quit on your team, to quit on the fans, to quit on the franchise, on prime time, and you're willing to lay down for 4 quarters and put out that kind of performance, you got to go. And I'm not saying that they're in the wrong for not wanting to play for Dennis Allen, but you don't want to have that kind of culture on the team. So anyone that is quitting or however you want to phrase it, because of Dennis Allen, I don't think they should be in the plan for the New Orleans Saints moving forward. Now, this was really something else right here. So we see with 5 seconds left, okay, we have a couple timeouts. I do think it was good to take shots in this situation. I do think it's good to take shots because it's 16-3. You don't want to just kneel it out. See if you can get a shot to the 50, kick a long field goal, whatever. So we check it down. All right, I got to turn the volume off here. So we check it down. Okay, when you check it down, it's over, right? Like, all right, now you just go to the locker room. Nothing was there. You didn't force it. Okay, fine. Now, Alvin, not happy. All right, there's so much going on here. So Alvin's not happy. Rattler not happy. Rattler says, what are we doing? You can see him say it right here. What are we doing? Okay. He's not happy. Dennis, looking lost on the sidelines, burns a timeout with 4 seconds left. Now, I've heard different reports. I've heard Dennis say who called a timeout. I've heard people say that they saw Dennis call the timeout. Like they visually saw him on the sideline call it, and then he's acting like he doesn't know who called it. They burned the timeout. 4 seconds left. And then they kneel it. This is one of those things where we're failing at an operational level now. This isn't a, oh, there's injuries. This isn't a, oh, you know, they got some missing offensive linemen. They got whatever. This is a complete collapse of the organizational structure of this franchise. And then we see the Saints, after the timeout, kneel it, which is something that I'm not sure if I've ever seen in the NFL. It's just crazy to watch. Like, imagine being in this huddle and you see the timeout, and then you get the call of like, all right, kneel it. What are we doing here? Okay. I mean, I can't even imagine what Sean Payton was thinking or saying on the sidelines. Rattler, I thought, was all right. I mean, again, ladies and gentlemen, Rattler's getting just dominated in the backfield. Like the amount of pressure that he was under was shocking. It's very difficult to judge like anything offensively. It's very difficult to judge what's going on because, one, it's a blowout. Two, Rattler's just getting teed off on. Has no time, can't do anything. And then there's also the fact that Cedric Wilson, Mason Tipton, Bub Means are your receivers. Just a crazy, crazy game. I mean, a shocking situation. As far as the future, I think you probably just go ahead and fire Dennis Allen. Today is Friday. You fire him today. Let Rizzy be the head coach. And then kind of see what you got for the rest of the way. Play Rattler, see what you can get from him. Play Kendra Miller, see what you can get from him. Play Bub Means and Mason Tipton, see what you can get from those guys. Olave comes back. Trade Chase Young. Trade Marshawn. Trade Alvin Kamara if you can. Start maneuvering the salary cap. See what you got to do to get out of Carr's contract. Nothing against Carr, but he's a 34-year-old quarterback next year on a big contract. We don't need it. Debo, he's hurt for the year. He's a free agent. More than likely, he won't be back. Let's see, who else? Demario Davis, look at moving him. Cam Jordan, same thing. And you start moving for the future. And the good news for the Saints is they're so bad roster-wise that, especially after this rebuild or this culling of contracts, if we have a top 5 pick, we could take any position, just best available, any position, get the best offensive lineman you can find that fits the scheme. Go get Mike Vrabel. Let Vrabel rebuild the locker room. And that's it. That's the plan. Here's the deal. We have to do a full-scale rebuild because the culture is bad, the locker room is bad, everything is bad. The roster is bad, the contract situation is bad. So wholesale, rebuild it all. Whole thing. It's going to take a couple years. tell you that right now. It's going to take a couple years to do this. It's going to take a couple years to rebuild what we're talking about here, because you do have to get that culture in. You do have to get the guy in, build that culture, build the roster through a couple drafts. And then it is what it is. And you hope that you hope that Rattler takes a step forward. Or if he doesn't, you hope that in a couple drafts you're in a position to draft a franchise quarterback. That's it. That's what we're looking at right now. And it sounds bleak because it is bleak. You can't sugarcoat this. I saw some people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, the season's not over." Wake up, Peter Pan. The season is over. We are giving up 7 yards per play. We have like 10 plus starters out. Connor McGovern is our starting center. It's over. Like, we're 2-5. Okay. We cannot stop the run, and we are walking into the next game is against the Chargers, who all they want to do is run. We play the Rams. All they want to do is run. We're not going to be favored in a game for the rest of the season. The only game that we might be favored in is against the Browns at home, because the Browns are probably the 32nd best team, and we are 31. And the Browns are selling. The Browns just got rid of Amari Cooper. We probably need to start doing the same. Chase Young last year was traded for a third. He's fully healthy now. If you can get a third, fourth, something like that for him, see you later. Alvin Kamara, I'm not sure how that works with the contract the way that it is, but I'm sure a team like the Dallas Cowboys would be interested in trading for Alvin Kamara. It's ugly. I mean, it is a bad situation, but it happens. The Saints are a team that is kind of built for this not to happen. Horrible circumstances of injuries have led to kind of a domino effect, which has now led to just a total collapse of the organization. It sucks. It is what it is, but we're facing it. Now, real quick here, I do think it's insane. I still think it's insane. I woke up this morning to multiple comments that were saying things like, looks like everybody was right in the offseason. Looks like Kurt Benkert was right. Kurt Benkert hasn't been right about nothing, okay? No one saw this coming. No one saw this team having 8+ offensive starters out. No one saw what has happened happen, okay? Before the season, people were saying that this team, when fully healthy, was one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think we disproved that in week 1 and week 2. If before the season you would have told me that week 7 prime time, it would be Spencer Rattler, Kendra Miller, Cedric Wilson, Mason Tipton, Bub Means leading this team with Connor McGovern as your center and Nick Saldiveri playing, I would have said, well, we're probably not very good. And lo and behold, we're not very good. Tough times, ladies and gentlemen. Tough times. Not good. Again, box score, totally correct. Got dominated. No positives to take from this. This box score actually is not as bad as it should be, but shocking stuff. So the Saints are off for 10 days. They go on the road to play the Chargers. Dennis Allen should be fired. I mean, if he's not fired today, the bad news is if he's not fired before the Chargers game, he probably won't be fired this season. So, that's hopefully Mickey does what's right. But we'll be covering this team, covering everything per usual. The content doesn't stop. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.